Hey there, delightful makers. In this tutorial, we are going to use one of our decorative stitches to create some fun texture on our applique. So I am working on the September birthday bloom vase. This is with the aster flowers, and they have these centers that are a little rough around the edges. And I don't want to just do a pretty little blanket stitch around those edges because I want it to kind of look a little more fuzzy and natural. So these are all of the decorative stitches that my machine does, which is one of the things I really love about my machine, but I don't use these decorative stitches anywhere near enough. So I found this one. This is number 63, and this is basically just a little meandering stipple stitch. So it's just kind of gonna go a little bit all over the place. And I thought that that would be a fun kind of rough edge stitch to use for my flower centers. So you can see here where I've already done it. It's not super obvious because I did it in yellow, but I also allowed it to come off the edges of the yellow a little bit because flowers aren't perfect and I didn't want to worry about it being perfect. And then I also brought it into the inside. So the entire flower center has that kind of stippling stitch. So let's do the stitch so you can see how I am doing it. Now the only thing that I am struggling with this stitch is that with the blanket stitch, the needle is always in this position, always in one spot, and I know that as long as I keep my flower or my edge aligned with that spot, then everything lines up perfectly. This one kind of goes all over the place, and I'm not sure of the exact pattern yet. So we're going to play with a little bit just so you can see what we're going to do. Now I have it started at the beginning, and again I'm using my open toe foot so I can see what I am doing with my applique. I am actually using a slightly larger needle. This is an 80-12. I am using a 50 weight thread for the top, but I am using an 80 weight thread for the bottom. When you do decorative stitches that have a lot of density to them, having a slightly smaller weight thread in your bobbin helps you with the tension a little bit. So we're going to lower the needle. I'm going to start it close to the edge here. And then I'm going to just let this kind of go where it wants to go while slowly rotating the flower. Now once it comes back to that edge, I'm going to turn it a little bit and then let it do its thing again. And this is crossing over some of the previous stitches, but I am okay with that because the center of a flower has tons of little tiny parts to it, so the crossing over just creates a little more interest in the center of my flower. I did not change any of the settings for this. It is on whatever setting is the default. So in this case, it is a 2.4 length and a 6.2 width. And then this is where I'm going to turn and let it just come through the middle. try to fill in that center area. And that looks good. So we're going to lift our needle, and then again we will leave our thread tail a little bit longer because we will pull that through to the back. And then let's cut the bobbin. All right, so there is the decorative stitch. Again, it's not a super obvious decorative stitch, and it's definitely something you could just free motion if you wanted to free motion, but it's also something that I didn't have to. I could just let my machine do its thing with the decorative stitch, and it turned out this really kind of rough looking center here. All right, so here you can kind of see the stitching a little better. And then I am going to show you on the back kind of how that looks. So here is that stippling stitch on the back, so you can see how it looks. So if I had decided to use a darker yellow, then it would have created an even prettier pattern that would have been a little more visible. But since this was my first time using this decorative stitch, I wanted to use something that matched really well, because I didn't want to end up, I'm still practicing and getting used to this stitch. So I like how it kind of makes everything look ruffly and rough, just like the center of a flower. And then I will do this last one. The rest of this project, I will be just using regular blanket stitches for all of the rest of it. So that is the number 63 on my Bernina. I have the Aurora 450. Different Berninas may have it as a different number. So just take a look at your stitch booklet and see if you have this stitch available, because it's really a kind of fun little stitch to create some meandering, rough little flowers. All right, so here is the finished block. I did blanket stitching for all of the other parts of the block. And then here is that stipple stitch in the center, just kind of giving it like a rough little look like the center of a flower. So have some fun, look at your decorative stitches and see what you can possibly use in your next applique project. Now it's your turn. Go make something beautiful.